Just in case you didn't know, winners don't use drugs. This is Sega and Weston's Aurail, a top-down mech shooting game for the arcade. Came out in 1990, I believe, and it's an okay game. It's got some interesting stuff, like these 3D interludes that you'll see. It's got some nice sprite work and art. The music is pretty middling. The overall, I don't know, vibe of the game is not particularly, impactful. It's not got, a super epic feel or anything really revolutionary. But it does feel decently good to play, and especially if you turn on 30 hertz auto fire and MAME, or I played this on Mister, so I highly recommend that for a relatively simple clear. What I'm doing here, kind of spraying around and moving kind of quickly up the screen, is sort of what you want to mirror for a lot of this game's stages. Aggressive play, moving fast up the screen and just killing anything before it has a chance to shoot you with your 30 hertz kind of auto fire spread is the name of the game here. It's definitely the way to play for a quick and dirty clear. You see those meters on the left. The number on the bottom is how many shields you have, and the meter with the yellow bars are your and so it just increased to where it was blue, and at that point I can hit button 3 and activate a shield, and you can hold up to 3 shields. So this game really wants you to tank stuff, or it's anticipating that you will. I don't think it's ever ideal to not have any shields. You want to keep at least 1 or 2 handy, but you can definitely play aggressively easier if the more shields you have. These 3D interludes are kind of interesting, just for an early kind of 3D experiment. They're kind of neat looking, I think, although the game design in them is a bit clunky. I can talk more about them because we'll see 4 more, if not more, levels like that. So we'll just table that until the next time we see one of those levels, but it looks pretty cool. I mean, that's what I'll say for the time that it was released. Something that I haven't touched on is I have this thing circling me. If you get a D item, you get this thing called a kite, and you can send that out with button 2 to kind of do your dirty work and kill only certain types of enemies. It does not hurt certain types of enemies, but it can kill others, and it can help you with bosses, as you'll see here. It uses the same power meter that you see on the left for shields that you use to activate shields, but it slowly depletes as the kite hits anything. And it's really pretty advantageous to have a good amount of power meter built up and shield meter built up, so you can send that thing freely. Especially in these in this water level, it's really handy because there are these these floating missile silos that will fire really nasty homing missiles at you, and this thing will, even before they pop up, go home in on them and kill them. So you just kind of want to be tapping button 2 pretty consistently to send this thing to whatever it can kill. It doesn't take up that much power as long as you're pretty built up on shields. You keep getting power recharges from enemies, so you don't need to worry about it too much. Oh, if for some reason I didn't send it to kill those guys, and I kind of got in trouble. So that wasn't great, but it's okay. We lost a shield. No big deal, we'll get another one. Those missile enemies on land that come down really should be at least to a certain degree memorized and anticipated, because they until you learn how to kind of effectively dodge their fire, they will just point blank destroy you, take out a ton of missile or a ton of shields, kind of when you're starting and learning the game, and they're really frustrating. So definitely make a point to know where those are if you want to clear of this game, and kill them quickly. That was pretty brutal mid-boss. Lost all my shields, but we'll get them back in these, because these 3D levels are very generous. they're split into these sections of, okay, there you go, it already got me one shield back with those power items. You shoot all these mines and sometimes they pop out shields. You want to hold back on the joystick so that you go slow enough to see where the peas pop out and grab them. And so you get those collectathon level sections, and then you go into these shooty sections. And the strategy for these is, you know, not too complex. You just never want to strafe when you're too close to an enemy, because in all likelihood they're firing something that you're going to strafe into and get hit. So you just kind of want to stay straight on, and you can bum rush any enemy straight on and you'll probably kill it with your 30 Hz auto fire. So if you have split enemies coming at you, best to just like head straight into one, kill it, turn around and kill the stuff that's behind you. You just want to get everything on one side of the room, if that makes sense. And they're not that hard until the end of the game. It's really just kind of for funsies until the last few levels. And there is a branching path in this game. I'll talk about that when it comes up. But you can make it harder for yourself and potentially get a different ending by doing harder versions of those 3D levels. So that's an interesting little twist. Haven't talked about these green portal enemies. When these green portals appear, they'll release a certain kind of enemy a certain number of times, and then they'll universally, there's that land missile that I was talking about. See, I know how to get around those missiles just because I've played the game a lot, but at the beginning when when you don't instinctively know how to dodge them, they're really nasty. And so there you go, I'm moving up the screen quickly and killing them before they can even fire at me. So what was I saying before that? Oh yeah, the green portal enemies, there's one right there. So they'll release these little ground enemies, and as soon as it releases enough of them, it turns into that gun, and that gun will keep spawning. So it's not always advantageous to be careful and move slowly in this game, but when you need to, just be sure you pay attention to those guns. And see, I keep turning around to kill it and inch up the screen, because if you keep these missile guys up at the top of the screen, you can see their missiles don't come down to hit you. They just like get lost above the area of play. So that's good. This is a really easy boss. You kill that first one. The second one can't move over far enough to go get you, so then you can handle that. There is a safe spot all the way in the left-hand corner if you absolutely need to be over there. Like, I don't think anything can hit you. Then you give this guy a lot of hits as he comes down. He'll fire either one or two of those orange things, and that blue spread usually doesn't hit me, but it seemed kind of close together there, so I don't know what was up. There you go, that's how it's supposed to work. And then he's dead. Pretty much all of the bosses can be learned like that. They can be handled in such a way where you barely have to fight them. You just 30 Hz them to death. Okay, here we go again. Spreading my shot around, and that time I failed to do it, but you should be able to kill all this stuff really quickly flying up the screen so it doesn't even have a chance to hit you. It's way easier to do that than to try and be really careful and creep up, and everything can overwhelm you really quickly if you do that. And the entire time I'm sending my kite out to get anything that I can't handle with my my main shot. And I have 3 shields, so we're in pretty good shape. Be careful here, because these guys can shoot through walls. My kite went and took care of them, but sometimes if you die, like, you won't have your kite, so those will all of a sudden become pretty dangerous. And then this guy just requires some old-fashioned dodging and just kind of slowly getting his health down. There we go. Didn't mention it, but there are 16 rounds in this game. I like to think of it as 5 rounds of 3 of these three of these sets of stages. There's a main stage, a 3D stage, and then a boss stage. So 5 of those, and then 1 final stage to end it. Okay, so when there's a clump of 3, see, I just charge ahead and then turn around and get the other one. It doesn't matter if you hit any enemies in this game, like with your mech. Like, even on the top-down sections, if you run into an enemy, you're not going to get hurt. You will lose your power bar. It'll slowly drop if you're like running into enemies, all kinds, but you won't ever actually lose a shield. The only way you lose a shield is by getting hit with a projectile in the top-down sections, and same with these 3D sections. So don't ever worry about like that. If the crab is coming for you, those crab things, I call them crabs. I'm not sure if they're actually crab sprites. Can't really tell. But the triangular enemies, if one's just heading right for you, just head right for it, and you will kill it by the time it reaches you. And you'll kill any fire. Your fire kills any missiles that are launching out of the enemies. So it's just pretty safe to like run into a single one. Okay, same thing. I think I might have screwed this up a little bit. No, I did okay. Again, moving quickly up and alternating my fire, the direction of my fire, to just handle as much of the screen as possible. That was dangerous, but we got through it. And I got an extend. I've gotten 2 extends so far. One at 80,000 points and one at 200,000 points. And the next one is at 500,000, I want to say. Okay, yeah, just trying to be safe here. Built my shields back to 3. So far, I have not been in danger, like, very much at all. There was that one part at the end of stage 2, I want to say, where I had 0 shields, but throughout this whole game, I managed to learn it well enough to just keep my shields in essentially no miss the first, like, at least 2/3 of the game most of the time. Again, just handling the boss like it's, you know, just point blanking the shit out of it. Not worrying about getting hit with anything but the projectiles, and you can learn its behavior, and kind of when after it shoots those rings out is when you want to get in there and just like rapid fire shot it to death. But yeah, it's easy enough to learn on your own. There's no like really intense strategy. Okay, I've got blue shield meter, so I'm going to convert it back to shield to get 3. All this stuff in this level is very dangerous. Avoiding those missiles. Definitely have to learn this a little bit in order to not get totally fucked over. It looks like I'm kind of handling it easily, but it took a lot of, yeah, just a lot of playing this stage to kind of get the flow of it, and sometimes you do have to creep up, and if you can catch an enemy on the edge of the screen, it won't fire at you, so that's nice for some of those bigger enemies, like the guys that shoot the dual lasers down, and those guys those like floating 2-orb enemies, kind of bigger floating enemies, you want to kill those as quickly as possible because they release a big nasty laser spread. And just get to if you get to the right or left parallel to those 2 laser enemies, they're not going to turn and shoot you. All they can do is shoot like 45, they can shoot down, and that's it, not 45 degrees. I don't know why I said that. Okay, some more power up. Look at how generous it is with the power-ups. There's just nothing really to be afraid of unless you start going on tilt. And things can start to get bad pretty quickly if you're in a hairy spot with enemies, because there's not, or with a clump of enemies in a top-down section, because there's not iframes in this game when you get hit, or at least not very many that I've felt. And so if you get into a situation where there's tons of projectiles coming at you, you could lose 3 shields in like a matter of seconds. I mean, that definitely happens from time to time. So it's not an easy game, but it is a straightforward game, I would say. It's a game that you can definitely like learn playing full credits of it, and nothing really all that complex. It's just learning the enemy placement and learning the point blank strategies for the bosses are the 2 main things. Once you start seeing red enemies in these 3D stages is when it kind of starts getting hairy. All of this is just pretty much a cakewalk. And every time, you know, between every single little mini stage of shooting guys, you're getting more power-ups to recharge your shield. And of course, I think that's because these would be harder without 30 Hz auto fire, and maybe you'd be like getting down to 0 shields every time. Not gonna act like the game wouldn't be a ton harder without the use of auto fire, but it's more fun with auto fire. We're a pro auto fire on this channel.
Kite is ready.
Okay, this level is a little tricky without the kite because those, you know, it's close quarters and those turrets can get the best of you as you're trying to clear out all this other stuff. But with the kite, it's really easy. He just goes and clears out those turrets that are kind of more further along on the path, and you can just like hang out. They're gone. The programming of the kite is a little bit strange. Like, I don't really get sometimes why it doesn't go when there's enemies that I know it should want to kill, and then other times it'll kind of hang out and like keep going along and killing enemies up the screen. Don't fully understand its behavior, but it is a nice, useful little thing. There is, I should note, a massive delay in hitting the button and then it going to position itself over an enemy and then shooting at it. So don't expect it to act quickly. Like definitely just kind of rely on it as a safety measure, not like the primary means to killing enemies when you're moving up a stage. Just killing this stuff as quickly as possible, trying to avoid these missiles that are falling. And here we are at the boss. And this is a very specific strategy I have for this boss that I devised. Routed this stuff myself, so don't know if it's like the optimal way. But it's certainly a easy way to dispatch that pretty late game boss. So there you go. Alright, 3 stages left. Or 4, I guess. 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, a very tricky level. I have lots of resources, so it's not going to be as tricky, but sometimes, you know, this late in the game, you might have taken a death or two, you might have lost a shield or two, and if that's the case, all of a sudden it becomes pretty hairy. There's a lot of stuff that can, especially without a kite, that's positioned in a way that is just designed to fuck you over. And I don't know what causes that full red power-up orb to appear, but sometimes it does there, so that's nice. You see, I just made use of the trick of like not moving far enough up the screen to reveal the enemy, but revealing enough of it that I can shoot and kill the enemy, which you want to do as often as you possibly can in this stage. There we go. It's, you know, again, it's a bit memo because knowing when to creep up and hit a large enemy. Oh, there I lost 2 shields. That wasn't good. Knowing where to creep up and hit a large enemy on the edge of the screen, and then knowing where to like blitz up and rapid fire swivel is, yeah, that's just a matter of memo. It's just a matter of knowing how the stage progresses. These things are falling the entire time, those spheres, and they are really fucking nasty spreads when they explode. So be careful of those. Try and kill them. Try and prioritize killing them when they fall. But sometimes they fall behind a wall, and you just can't get to them, and you have to hope that you can get far enough away to micro dodge. Okay, not in great shape. 0 shields. But we made it through another round, so it's a 3D stage. So it's likely that we're going to get some shield back here. So that's good. Here we go. They're being so generous. Okay, and these take the most health, or take the most shots to kill all the red mines and enemies and stuff, so they're the most dangerous. I never mentioned button 2, the button that normally sends out your kite, is the button that you use to turn your mech in these stages. And then you can activate shield as you can in the top-down stages. Those guys have a lot of health and their missiles are fast. Ooh, that wasn't a good idea to turn around there. Not a good idea. But see, just turning and strafing usually gets you out of you know, terrible danger. You might lose one shield, but you'll rarely like go on tilt and lose like 2 or 3 in a short period of time in these stages. As long as you like have learned the general way to play them. And surely if you're making it to this point in the game, you've got the general gist of it down. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, the 3 reds are that's a difficult pattern, enemy pattern. Okay.
Kite is ready.
So this is round 15's penultimate stage. This is where there's different paths you can take, and as far as I understand it, the leftmost paths are the easiest, and the paths you take may or may not affect the ending of the game. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think I remember reading that somewhere. And then the harder paths, of course, might be better for score. I never tried them. They're actually extremely difficult. Granted, I played a lot of the game and never went back to them, so it's possible they're not quite as difficult as I found when I was first starting out, but like, if you're just going for a kind of a shit clear of the game, there's just no reason to do the harder sections. Like, just go left, go left, go left, and don't look back. The scoring, I'll just take this small moment to talk about the scoring in the game. Don't really understand why it's balanced the way it is. You get like, you know, you're scraping together hundreds of thousands of points here over the course of the entire game, but then at the end of the game, it awards you 1,000,000 points per, as far as I can tell, per life that you have stocked up. So there's just no reason to worry about scoring in these stages. The main concern is no missing. So I suppose there is reason to worry about scoring if you're gonna no miss the game, but just for a pure survival clear, the only reason to score is to get to 500,000 for the last, maybe there's one at 800,000. I'm not sure. Anyway, the score extends. That's the only reason to score, unless you're planning to no miss. There's no point in scoring if you're not going to no miss. Oh, there you go. I lost a shield. Crabs, the 3 crabs together are tough. And see, it's just hard to see what's coming at you in this. It's just not, the visibility isn't great. But who can blame it? It's kind of a nice little, just a nice little break from the top-down stuff. I didn't mind playing these sections. And I think the enemy sprites look neat. You get to see them get all up in your face, and they've got a lot of cool detail and color and stuff.
Game is over. Outcommanded. Kite is ready.
Okay, this level's a pain in the ass. It's got these great things which I love. This just wonderful game design trope of lasers that turn on and off, and you have to time your skating through them. If you can't tell, I'm being very sarcastic. There's an example of those orbs being unshootable in a wall, and me just kind of having to fly up the screen and hope that it doesn't get me. I wouldn't call the design of this game janky. It's actually pretty neat a lot of the time, or at least serviceable. But that's one element that I think is stupid. Just that those spheres can go behind walls, and then I haven't been able to tell what makes them explode exactly, like where they explode on the screen, or sometimes they don't explode at all. Not sure if it's RNG or what. All right, this seems just like a straight up unfinished boss. You just I mean, I guess again they would be more difficult without auto fire, but that there's nothing else before you get to the kind of final thing in the game. That's a little strange. Those at first I thought these blue stars were a pattern that you had to dodge, so I'm paying tribute to that by dodging them a little bit. Okay, last level. Or last part of the last level. Gigantic ship that you need to destroy every single part of. That sounds cooler than it is, because it just amounts to a bunch of like standing and just like shooting things that aren't really shooting back at you. And look, it's just not very difficult at the beginning part. All of this is kind of just fluff and spectacle. There's no game design challenge in it. And now this is where this level kind of starts. I just stand there and let the ship's movement kill those things for me. Make sure to prioritize killing that tube, because up at the top right, because it'll spew these like saw blades down at you. The worst part about this level is that these guns that you took so much care to destroy, they come back. So now you're trapped up here, or you know, I don't want to go back down and kill those lasers now that I'm up here. So you've got this little square to work in, and now all of the guns that I shot before are respawning. So death. And this game, I think that was my first miss. So haven't been able to talk about it, but it's a checkpoint system. So we're back to the beginning of the stage, or rather of this section. And you'll get to know. I think I die a couple more times here, or I don't really remember, but maybe I do. So you'll get to learn my little strategy for dispatching all of this stuff. Be careful. You see the ship like wobbles, and that can kind of screw you over. So be wary of that. These guns are really hard unless you aggressively go and point blank them right when they appear, and then they're pretty trivial. Oh, and look at that. The lasers that I killed started shooting again, and I was trying to dodge the upper guns, and I died again. When you die and start again, the game will give you a full shield's worth of power-ups, but it does not give you a shield. So just be wary that like every time you die, right when you restart again at a checkpoint, you want to activate your shield. That is if you choose to do so. Maybe you want to use it for a kite, but I don't think I ever did. I just always wanted to make sure to activate my shield, because there were a couple times where of course I didn't, and I got killed when I shouldn't have, because I could have been protected. Alright, let's see if we can make it happen this time. You kill this thing. Oh my god, okay. Their first wave of fire comes, and then they kind of sit a while before they fire again, so that lets you kill a couple off. And there we go. Now all four of them, those ones are gone, but the ones down below are shooting at you. And then these two diagonal ones are revealed that are very hard to get to. And then this big eye opens that starts shooting rings down at you at an interval that's hard to anticipate. So then the cavalry arrives, and they start like helping you bomb this eye. But you can't, it's not over. You've got to just like keep shooting it until it definitively ends. Because look, these guns respawn. Oh no, oh no. Oh, okay, good. I thought I took one more death there, so that's good. There was a few times where I got to that last little bit with good amount. See, there you go. Because I had, I think, 4 lives, I got 4 million points. Yeah, I had gotten to that last part of that stage a few times with like a good amount of resources, and I still I just dumped them all trying to kill that very final part where those guns respawn. That's definitely a big wall, just that final part. If you can focus on practicing that, the rest of the game it's not like a cakewalk, but it's not bad. And it's fun. It's a good game. I wouldn't say it's great. I wouldn't say that it's special, but it's a good arcade game. So if you're interested in something that kind of feels like different from obviously a traditional auto-scrolling shooting game, feels a little bit more like Outzone or something like that. This is one to check out. I would at least give it a shot and see if you can vibe with it. It's got some stuff going for it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Congratulations.